Hello, everyone. So, yes, as Giancarlo pointed out, I'm here in San Francisco and it was over 80 degrees today, which isn't unnormal, actually, despite climate change. We have that notoriously late summer. But literally within about 2 weeks, it's going to go get really cold. The average temperature always drops 10 degrees this time of year. And then the rest of the year, it ticks up about 1 degree on average. So for now, I'm reflecting from you in a very hot place. But despite that fact, it's still fall, which means the sky is getting darker. The themes of death and decay and endings and ghosts and ghouls and goblins and all sorts of scary things, or as when they say, the veil is thinnest, is what's going on right now, even in a hot place like this. But I think, especially growing up, I used to think of decay as like this finite ending, that something started and it was officially over and that was bad. But at this point in my life, I realized that we are all going through a constant cycle of growth and decay, that we are constantly creating something and letting go, that what's new is in front of us and what's old is behind us. And this idea, there's a time and a place for decay, but it's always this ongoing cycle. This idea crystallized for me recently during my annual couples vacation with my partner. We spend a week at a friend's cabin in a very, very small but very well known town called Mendocino, about 4 hours north of San Francisco. And it's just our little chance to get away from the world. We don't work, we don't answer our phones. It's an incredible privilege that we have, and I recommend and hope you all have that opportunity. During this retreat, we reflect on our relationship, and it's been 6 years now. Um, and obviously, at the beginning, there was a lot more to reflect on, a lot more to talk about, a lot more to unbox. But at this point, it's just not like that anymore. And it's just, there's a security to our relationship, a knowing that's there that doesn't need to really be explained to us, at least. And it's not like the financial ties, the legal documents, the public commitment we made that makes me feel secure. It's not the fact that we used to fight more often and now we know how to work out our differences and how to care for one another when our worst selves are flaring up. And it's not all the fun and family and joy that being a couple brings us. No, what makes me feel secure is that we are as individuals in this cycle of growing and decaying, and we are that as a couple, that we know we are as a two bonded pair, that we are constantly building what's next to our relationship and letting things go. Now, this can be seen in all facets of our life. Often I think of all the catchphrases we've had throughout our time, often tied to what we're watching on TV. We watched the movie The Warriors, and if you haven't seen it, there's a famous scene where someone goes, "Can you dig it?" And for probably like 6 months to a year, we were both saying, "Can you dig it?" to each other when we ask if that's okay. It just kind of went away one day. Or for that matter, when we watched Breaking Bad together, my wife's first time, she loved it. And we would make jokes about the adventures of Captain Cook and Heisenberg, which are the nicknames of the main characters in the show. But then in the end, we finished the show, it went away after a while. But a much more serious area where this has happened is in our 6+ years effort to bring children into our lives. We've had to let go and let fallow some very hard ideas and expectations. My wife's desire to be pregnant, my own desire to have biological offspring, the original arrangement we made where I would work at this church part-time and she would work at her corporate job so that I would raise the children during the day. All those things had to be let go of, and it hurt. I didn't want to let go of those ideas. The funny thing though is through this whole cycle, and just so y'all know, we are deep in the adoption process, but many of those options have come back. And it was only in letting them go that they were allowed to come back. That there's still an opportunity for her to grow a human being and an opportunity for me to have my own biological kids. But we really had to let decay the original interpretations and attachments to these ideas before they could come back again in new and more powerful ways. Here at Yarn, I know that for me personally, what I really, I'm not satisfied with how I'm currently leading. I'm the executive director, and it's been pretty rough learning process, especially this year, in what it means to lead at this level and seeing my own personal shortcomings and how I just operate in the world, how I approach my work. I mean, I'm literally practicing getting up and working earlier and working more in the morning because I just need to. I need to get up and do this work because people like you live and those watching at home, y'all love this. Y'all benefit from this. And don't get me wrong, I do too. And granted, it worked for a while. The quarantine was a really different era. But these days, it's not the quarantine. Our society has reopened. And so I have to let go and allow to decay this old way of being a leader and allow a new one to arise. And that's somewhat true of Yarn in general. In fact, at our last board meeting, we're looking for board members. So if you're interested, let me know. But at the last Yarn board meeting, we were discussing how we are now in year 3 of the original Yarn plan. And it's now time to figure out what's next for Yarn. We're a program, we're a consultant, we're a community, we're this national global network. What are we going to create next? And so I'm happy to announce here and now that that is going to be our focus over the next 6 to 8 months as the top leaders of the organization, that we're going to facilitate a process and figure out what we're going to do to create the next iteration of Yarn. But like I said, you can only get to this point when things start to decay, when things aren't working. And once you're here, there's this great opportunity to create what's next. So thank you for listening to me. And I hope you all have a great and safe Halloween and All Saints Day and Samhain, and that you identify and let go of the things that are decaying and dying in your life.